So you're an empathy circle facilitator trainer. I just got your just in our last training you became a trainer, and you're also the founder of Potluck Action, which is at potluckaction.com and the Empathy Circle app. And I don't know, we've known each other for quite some time. I don't know, 8 or 10 years or something. So uh, really great to know you, Zach, and take it away.
Thank you very much, Edwin. All right, so right now we're going to dive into details about hosting empathy circle house parties. And so house parties are very near and dear to my heart. All right, because I professionally organized grassroots political campaigns for about 10 years. And so at different states across the United States, I worked for candidates at local, state, and federal levels, including ballot initiatives. And I named that because house parties are a very effective way of participating in our democracies. All right. So it's also a great way to invite friends, family, neighbors, and colleagues to come play with an empathy circle. Important for me to note, I'm a substitute speaker today. All right. So I only had a couple of days to prepare. And so I'll be reading quite a bit from the house party guide that I just linked in the chat that showed up before my bio there. But that said, the guide is made to be entertaining, so we'll probably do fine here. And one more disclaimer before I dive in. I also owe you a couple of basic printouts or worksheets. So you'll find those in the Google Doc by Monday. Sorry. So with that, let's go right on it. So, all right. So, oh, I should actually go ahead and share the screen for this document. That would be a very nice thing to do. Oh no, but I am not allowed. I always forget this, that my operating system doesn't allow me to share screen. All right. Well, I invite you all to go ahead and open the Google Doc. Apologies for that. I always forget my operating system. Zoom doesn't allow my operating system to share screen. I always forget that. All right. Sorry. So let's go and check out the guide. So, house parties, again, they're a great way to just invite friends, family, neighbors to empathy circles. Why? Because empathy circles are fun, right? A lot of people seem to keep participating in empathy circles because they're fun and interesting. They're also useful, right? But they're fun and interesting. And so at the same time, most people will only try empathy circles if they're invited to one, right? This is a social activity. So practically speaking, right, in order for someone to try empathy circles, they need to be warmly invited by a friend, neighbor, colleague, or family member. And from this point forward, I'll just use the word peers or guests, right, to describe those folks. So you don't need a house to host a house party. Okay, so great parties can be hosted in small apartments, cafes, restaurants, at work, or at church. Personally inviting your peers is the thing that makes a house party, as opposed to some other kind of event. Also consider that someone's first empathy circle is going to be more meaningful when they do it with their peers. And so if you're feeling worried about being a good host or doing everything right, just consider that your party will be a much better experience overall than doing their first circles with strangers. And of course, it's perfectly fine to do your first circles with strangers. I did that, right? My first circles with Edwin and gang, right? A lot of us did that in the community. But just know that if you host a house party, you're already ahead. Your guests are already benefiting and will have a much better experience than otherwise possible. So all right. So uh, if your goal is to just host one party, a one-time event where you just want to introduce the empathy circle, that's wonderful, right? But if you decide you want to do more and consider goals like forming a chapter organization, then a house party series is a very strong foundation for a healthy and effective chapter organization. And you'll see in the guide includes guidance on fundraisers as well as parties with political candidates. And that guidance is designed to support your operations and growth as a chapter in particular. All right, so moving on to the party checklist here. Steps are pretty simple. Choose who's going to facilitate your circles. Um, you should have a facilitator for every 3 to 5 people attending. If you're the only facilitator, then just keep the party small. And that will maximize how much everyone can participate. Step 2, set a date for the party. Then decide on your itinerary. There are a number of example itineraries in the guide. And then make a list of who you're going to invite. All right. Again, this can be friends, family, neighbors, colleagues. And then personally call or text everyone on your list to invite them. Okay, so this is a very important step. And just think about it this way. If you were planning Thanksgiving or some holiday like that at home, would you make a Facebook event and invite your friends that way? Probably not, right? So, same thing. This is a special occasion. It's a private party. And of course, no pressure or love lost if folks can't make it. Whatever the situation, just warmly and personally invite all of your guests. Next, a day or two before the event, make sure to personally call or text everyone who RSVP'd to confirm that they're coming. And this is the most important step. Now, uh, as an organizer, since time immemorial, folks like me will hear anxieties along those lines of like, well, but Zach, it might feel forced to confirm everyone the day before, or I'm afraid they won't show up if I do confirmation calls. Almost everyone, including myself, feels that way at first when doing confirmations formally. But after you host a first party, after you host a few parties, completing this step will feel natural and normal. And confirmations are just about being polite and organized. That's it. People forget, right? They might even put your event in the calendar and they forget about the event. So checking in is also a good way to tell someone that you're excited to see them, which by the way, like I loved it. Ruth sent me one of those emails yesterday, where she just told me that she was excited to see me, and I loved that so much. It made me really happy. It really started my day off really well. Um, so just as a forewarning, if you don't do confirmations, okay, what's the consequences? What if I don't do confirmations? Just don't be surprised if up to half of your RSVPs that may flake. Up to half of your RSVPs may flake or not show up if you don't do confirmations. And because this is a new activity for your peers, you can expect more flaking than other events that you may have hosted in the past. Um, uh, one more. One or two more quick things on this is, over the years, I can't tell you the number of times when hosts like beat themselves up because only 80% of the RSVPs showed up. Uh, there's always room for improvement, but if 70% or more of your RSVPs show up on average, then you're doing a good job and you should be proud of your activism. Okay. Um, and all right. And then step 6, have fun at the event. Of course, invite interested guests to future events, and optionally, my email's in that Google document. I would love to hear from you about how the house party or multiple parties, if you do that, went for you, and what you learned will help me and all of us collectively because we can keep maturing that collective intelligence. All right, so basic itinerary. There's a lot of different things you can do with your itinerary, but this is just the basic one. Structured to be just a little over an hour. Welcome your guests. Introduce the empathy circle process. Obviously, I'm not covering facilitating circles in this presentation or the guide, right? But after you do the circle, you could do a little time of reflection, and a really effective thing to do is to pass around a scheduling poll to folks right then and there. No pressure. They could just like check off like yes, no, maybe to some particular dates coming up because that is the best time to collect that information. You're going to save yourself a lot of energy, and you'll more people will come if you do that. All right. So say you want to add a meal to the situation. Okay. So uh, food, uh, go for it. But do it after the empathy circle. Right? Because would you want to pound down a dinner and then do your first empathy circle? Probably not. Right? So, and I get it. It's logistically easier to feed everyone first, but if you want to include a meal in particular, then just consider organizing the circle afterwards. All right. We got the empathy circle game, which Bill Fuller made this wonderful, simple, and sweet little board game. I just linked to that board game, and that just fits nicely into the basic itinerary. Particularly, maybe the itinerary may be a little bit longer playing the game. All right, so as time allows here, I'm going to go ahead and touch on community organizing a bit. And if someone could repost, actually, I got it real quick. So I saw Jonathan's comment there. There's Google Doc again. And oops, I just DM'd that to Sally. Apologies, I should just ask someone else to do that. All right, there we go. Okay, so all right, so with community organizing, um, so house parties in general are one of the most effective activities in community organizing or engaging in the in our democracies. Um, and so if you want to start, I'm going to actually focus a bit on fundraising aspect here. And fundraising is you can definitely host, one-off fundraisers without becoming a chapter organization. But if you're starting to go in that direction, you're like, all right, I want to start experimenting or discussing forming a chapter organization with my peers. Then fundraisers are a really great activity for that. So, um, and why? With an empathy circle, you can share really deep, insightful, and inspiring conversations about causes that you're interested in, right? And so, um, uh, uh, my recommendation is to host at least two empathy circle house parties before your first fundraiser. And there are two types of fundraisers in the guide. There's the crowd fundraiser and there's the dedicated fundraiser. And so, with a crowd fundraiser, basically you can print out kind of a bingo-like card. You can invite your guests to think of causes that they're generally interested in, and they can be invited to do a little research or kind of come up with a couple little stories about the causes they're interested in, and then bring and tell those stories and share that information at the empathy circles at the party. And while people are doing the circles, they can just write out like small, not obligatory, of course, but like small monetary pledges while doing the empathy circle. And so that's just a very simple way of everyone to like feel engaged and to feel like they're being effective, and they truly are being effective, right? And so, like say, for example, one of your guests, she knows she wants to donate $20 total at the party. And maybe she pledges all $20 to one cause on your bingo card, or she splits up $5 between four different causes. Now, that said, if you donate small amounts to more causes, that is a very good thing. But just to be perfectly fair, the downside is that now you're doing four different financial transactions instead of one. And I'm already hearing voices of people telling me, like, I ain't got time for that on date night, Zach. I got empathy circles to do here, so no sweat, no
Two
problem.
minutes, Zach. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. No sweat, no problem. Just do one donation then. But if you're particularly cozy with your computer or cell phone, then consider doing as many tiny donations as you can. Because if you do, you're kind of hacking the system in a very good and constructive way, right? Guide's meant to be entertaining, right? So not actually hacking anything, but uh, when you do that, the causes that you're donating to, they're going to notice that information, right? getting a donation from a new donor is one of the most important events to the organization that you're donating to, right? And so by donating together as a chapter, you are generating buzz, right? And opening doors for relationships and potential partnerships, right? And so, that's at almost any charity, political campaign, religious organization, you name it out there, they would much rather have a $10 donation, or I'm sorry, they'd much rather have $10 donations from 10 new donors than a $100 donation from one donor. All right, I see I'm at time. Thank you all very much for listening. Please come check out the guide, and please feel free to shoot me an email, tell me about your experiences, or otherwise. Everyone's always welcome. So
Thanks,
thank you very
Zach.
much.
And you're a longtime political community organizer, and what you're saying here is that we can use all those processes and practices to build an empathy movement. And everyone here can host one of those house parties. So we've got 34 people. Each of these 34 people can host a house party to get the empathy movement, keep building it. So I really appreciate all those insights.